And over these last days, there's been stories told about amulets and touchstones, and the question's been asked, what is your touchstone? What is it that you're still clinging to as a thread, or even trying to stand on as a foundation stone? So today we'll dive a little deeper and see what comes from it. There's a story of a group of seekers who were with a learned sage for many, many years, and every time in his presence he would give a learned discourse on some subject, any subject. And this went on for many, many years. And they would ask him, what is your knowledge? Where does it come from? Where is this wisdom? And he would say to them, it's in a book. I'll give it to you when I die. So eventually the master did die, and sure enough, they found the book just in the place that he'd designated that it would be. And when they opened it up, it had only a single sentence written inside. And that sentence was, when you understand the difference between the container and its contents, you will have access to the font of all knowledge. Then there's another story of another group of seekers who were sitting at the feet of a learned master, also for many, many years. And sometimes he would give learned discourses, and sometimes he would sit in silence. And some of those around him, they would listen to him intently and think about what it was that he'd said. Others went off to study the words in books and so forth. But then one day one of the followers got up the courage to ask him and said, Master, you speak so often and sometimes you don't speak, but could you please tell us what it is that you really mean? What is your real teaching? And the master gave a deep sigh, and he said, come with me to the seaside. And when they went down to the seaside, there was covered with a number of pebbles. And the master picked up a pebble and he handed it to one of the students. And he said, how long do you think this pebble has been in the ocean? The student looked at it and said, oh, it's been worn down by the ocean tides smooth. It could have been there for thousands of years. So the master said, now break the stone open. And so the student banged another stone against the pebble. And when it was opened up, the master pointed out, you see, on the inside, even though this pebble has been on the ocean side perhaps for a countless number of years, its inside is still untouched, dry. And he said, you are like this pebble. Wisdom flows around you, but it does not penetrate. But there is an amulet, a touchstone, and this is patience, forbearance, and surrender. And though this seems to be three, it is only one. When you have this touchstone, then you will receive the wisdom. And then he took them to a hillside that was arid, dry. But on that hillside there stood a magnificent tree, blooming in full bloom. And the master pointed out, you see this tree standing on sand, and yet it is in full bloom. This is because the essence in its seed had the touchstone and was able to send its roots deep into the earth, where it found sustenance and water to enable it to come to fruition. What is the deep meaning of these stories for us? What does it mean to understand the difference between the container and its contents? To have the amulet so called patience, forbearance, surrender as one. What could this mean for us? In our haste, in our movement, in our questing, in our seeking, in our striving, can you recall having that amulet, patience, forbearance, and surrender? Or were we so hasty, so thirsty, so longing for knowledge, confirmation of something that those qualities were absent from our movement? Maybe until now, where we find them here with us, unbidden, uncalled for, but present. Patience, forbearance, and surrender. And what is the difference to our understanding of the container and its contents? What fills you now each moment? Are you that begging bowl, receiving graciously and gratefully whatever it is that life fills it with? And when tasting it, savoring the nectar of something inexplicable, to do with patience, forbearance, and surrender. And when we do, we know and experience at every moment that the rose always blooms out of this amulet, this touchstone. What name can we give it? Patience, forbearance, and surrender. Out of this arises wisdom, love.